Welcome in, guys. Happy Monday. Coming off another winning weekend. 4-3 over the weekend. Of course, some big dogs in there. Biggest one yesterday hit Cleveland plus 200, getting it done. That makes this run now over the last 11 days up almost 24 units, 18-11. And you guys know our break-even rate is 40%. So anytime we go on a 2-week stretch hitting up in the 60-70% range, that's when things are really going well. Got to be feeling good, John, coming in on this downstretch of the MLB season. Playoff races heating up, and now just that much closer to football. Really quick, guys, giveaway winner was eCloud last week. Keep doing what you guys are doing last week. Like, comment, subscribe below. Appreciate you guys who've been tuning in throughout. Good weekend, good couple of weeks here, John, getting hot right in the right time.
Yeah, it was a real tough baseball season. This last little run, it's got us now at plus 31.5 units for the year, the baseball season. I'll take that return over the stock market, over anything else you could think about. You just got to stay here. You got to stay with us for the long haul. You can't come in for a week or 2 weeks. We have a down week. You jump out. It's a 162-game season. I told you guys that before we got started. If we're going to hit, if we're taking an average of $1.50, which when we take games like Cleveland, plus 2-1 yesterday, we take our average of $1.50, just got to hit 40%. We're going to achieve that goal. We're going to be plus at the end of the year. This little last run has now made it worthwhile to be how to beat the Bookie member. I'm going to keep my sentences short today. We'll let Ben take over. It's a good run. We plan on continuing it. I like a lot of sides today.
Yeah, guys, baseball, really long season. We had a lot of people drop off in April. April was down 11.5 units. Got it right back in May. That was a 20-unit month. And right now on August, on track to have another 20-unit month. If we stay on positive, this would be...
Let me just jump in one more second, Ben.
Of course.
You know, we're talking units, and what I'm talking is percentage of your bankroll units. When we say we're at 31.5 units, that means if you started with $1,000 bankroll, you're at $1,315 right now. Not like the frauds out there that are putting 150 units on a game because it sounds good. This is real money, not the fake shit that you hear out there. So I just wanted to come across with that.
Yep, $100 bettors, $3,000, $1,000 bettors up 30. So that's where things are going right here. We can go ahead and dive into this card, guys. Padres at Cardinals. First one here on the slate. Couple of the most disappointing teams we have this season. A couple of teams as far as if you go look. By the way, that brings me to my point. If you go look at our app, as far as plus minus on the season, new feature on the app, guys, is having all the plus minus, all the against the spread stats in there. These are two of the bottom 5 teams as far as plus minus being profitable this season, losing people a lot of money. Snell versus Waino, just two pitchers, complete opposite directions. Snell leads MLB in ERA, does have the high walks, coming off another quality start against Miami. Last year versus the Cardinals, 1.38 ERA, and Wainwright in August, 0-4, 14.73 ERA. Absolutely unbackable. It's hard to watch Waino at this stage in his career. This is a really big number for the Padres, and you guys know we've been liking to bet against the Padres for the last 2 months. Can't do it in this spot. I will say San Diego or nothing, even though it's a big road favorite. I want no part of Wainwright.
Yeah, no, I don't either. If you guys have been with us, you've heard me calling for Waino, please retire. It's over. Go play with the kids and the grandchildren. Get out of the game. It's ugly now. But this is an overlay. And that's what we're talking about San Diego. Ben just gave you the stats on the app who are the most and least profitable teams. And that's why we call San Diego an overlay. One of the worst teams all year, and the sharps just keep betting them every single day and just keep getting beat up. They did it again today. This game opened $1.70 on the overnight. It's up as high as 200 in Sports 411. But as Ben says, I don't make it this high, but Wainwright is absolutely unbackable. Snell regressing a little bit in his last start. He was on an amazing run. I just think San Diego's done. St. Louis, they just can't score. St. Louis now batting 175 over their last 6 games. They've scored a total of 3 runs in the series with Philly. And in their last 11 games, they've scored more than 3 runs just twice. That's ugly. Can't back them, even though I think it's an overlay.
Yep, that Padres team on the season minus 26.3 units. If you were to be betting them every single game, that's how brutal they've been. Then we have a couple of central teams here. Brewers at the Cubbies. Brewers staying red hot right now, getting it done. Coming off another sweep against the Padres. They've now won 8 straight, batting .288, scoring over 7 a game right now. Cubbies playing decent ball right now. They're third scoring at home this season. Pretty interesting pitching matchup. Couple of just mid-tier pitchers in the rotations. Miley versus Tejon. Wade Miley last 2 starts, not that great. 7 runs in 10 innings versus the Twins and the Dodgers. Was roughed up by the Cubs earlier this year. And Tejon 2-2, 6.08 in August. Last 2, 8 runs and 11 2/3. But against the 2 bottom teams in Central, KC and Detroit. So this is not really a pitching edge either side. I'm going to give it slightly here to Miley. Nothing too terrific there. Brewers obviously get the team edge. They're just playing red hot baseball right now. Currently a 4-game lead on the division. So you could say, Cubs are maybe showing up for this game a little bit more, maybe a little bit of a letdown. Either way, hottest team in baseball. You're getting them plus money right now. It's Brewers or nothing.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to call them the hottest team, but they're right up there with the Mariners because the Mariners are just letting the world on fire. Tejon, he turned the corner a little bit. And then fading back to his old ways, hasn't been good lately. For me, it's the price or nothing, but I would need a little higher if I wanted to be interested in Milwaukee. Tough battle of the top 2 teams in the NL Central. I expect both these teams at this point to be playoff teams.
We have Braves at Colorado. Braves, the only negative to our weekend. Missed them both, or we had them both times in the games they won. Missed them the game they lost. Tough team to go against any time, and it's again tough to go against them at Coors Field. Absolutely owned this matchup. 10-1 the last 11 meetings, all 4 this year. 40-12. They swept them all 4 at Colorado last season. It's the Braves, best road team in baseball. You know what you're going to get with them offensively. Put them in Coors Field. You should expect fireworks. It's Elder versus Gomber. Elder last 2 starts terrific. 1 run in 12 1/3. Against the 2 ice-cold New York teams. Did have a quality start versus the Rockies in June. And then you have Gomber going, who we've been backing a lot lately. In August, 1-1, 4.43. Last time out, quality start at Tampa Bay. Was crushed by the Braves twice last year. 9 runs in 5 1/3. And obviously worse at home, 7.06 in Coors. Been a bit better lately, though. They're 7-3 his last 10 home starts. Really want to bet the Rockies here. Braves coming off the Sunday night game. Colorado, a big, bad road trip, but they end up getting a win at the end of it there against Baltimore. And they've been 8-9 at home since the All-Star break. So playing 500 ball. They've had some tough competition there. Always tough to go against the Braves, but this is Rockies or nothing.
Yeah, the price says you got to take a shot with Gomber, who's been much, much better this second part of the year. As Ben said, we've been on him quite a bit. Just can't buck the domination of the Braves, especially coming off the loss. As Ben said, this team hits the most home runs in Major League Baseball. I think they'll probably hit a few at Coors Field tonight. I'll stay off this one.
Yeah, it could be just an over game there. We'll see what ends up going on. Then nice little wild card matchup. Reds at San Francisco. The Cincinnati team coming off a loss against Arizona. Really tough series there. A lot of tight games, a lot of late leads, extra innings, you name it. They come off there. They're 4-3 on the trip right now. The 3rd best in the NL, 37-30 on the road. And you have Giants who get that win in the Sunday night game against Atlanta. 2-2 of their last 4, 5-12 their last 17. Abbott versus Harrison. Harrison just 2 runs and 3 1/3 in his MLB debut. And Abbott hasn't had a quality start in over a month now. Last 3, they won them as he went 2-0, 4.30. Gave up 3 runs in 4 innings, 5 Ks, 4 walks. He's taken a big drop off to that hot stretch he had coming on into the season. Oftentimes you see that with some of these young guys get hot starts, scouting reports get better, their innings get ticked up, and then you start to see the issues come up a little bit. Either way, I have against the pitching edge here. Reds get the team edge. Giants pretty cold. Yes, they get the win last night. They're coming off a Sunday night game, beating the best team in baseball. Maybe a little bit of a letdown from that. This is Reds as a road dog or nothing. Another trend we've been backing a lot.
Reds is a road dog or nothing. Absolutely. 3rd best road team. Let us down a couple of times in that series at Arizona. You guys, huge series. And it gets started with a couple of rookie left-handers. The way I've got the National League playoffs mapped out, one of these 2 teams is going to be the final wild card team. The other one's going to sit home because I think it's going to be, no surprise, Atlanta and Philly in the East, Milwaukee and Cubs in the Central, and I think it's Dodgers and Arizona in the West. So big one between one of these two teams if they can catch one of those other three teams. Like I said, a battle of rookie left-handers. Abbott, obviously more experienced. Harrison's debut the other day gives up 2 runs in 3 1/3 innings at Philly. Got to give him the edge. Got to give Reds and Abbott the edge. Got to be Cincy or nobody at the plus 120 price.
Yeah, you add in the factor Brewers are playing the Cubs this week. Just makes it all the more important here for Reds to get wins. Well, at least every night one of those teams is losing, giving them a chance to catch up a little bit. Then we have that next matchup you're just referring to, D-backs at the Dodgers. It's an West race right now. D-backs currently in that 3rd wild card spot. They're holding a 1.5 game lead on both the Giants and the Reds. Gallen versus Miller. Gallen, who was really rough on the road earlier this season, really started to settle in down the stretch currently. 5 straight quality starts here in August, 3-0, 2.01 ERA. He was roughed up by the Dodgers back on opening day. Prior to that, though, last year he had 2 really solid starts, 0.64 ERA. And then Miller gave up 4 runs in 6 1/3 his last time out. Prior to that, pair of quality starts, including 6 shutout innings against the D-backs in Arizona. Gallen gets the pitching edge. You have Dodgers who are red hot, but they're coming off a cross-country trip from Boston, 21-4 the last 25. D-backs playing good ball right now. They go 5-1 on the homestand. They won 7 of their last 8. This means more to Arizona. You have the ace on the mound. You get a handful of starts left with Gallen on the mound. You need each and every one of those wins, especially against the team that runs the division. This is D-backs with the ace on the mound or nothing.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Arizona or nothing. But just worried about how Arizona's going to respond. Been on a great run. Winning this 3 or 4 from Cincinnati to put themselves into that 3rd wild card spot. So it could be a little bit of a letdown. I know there shouldn't be when you're going to face the Dodgers. Just feel there may be a little bit of letdown from this recent run. I believe it's 8-1 in their last 9. Excuse me, 7. They're 7-1 their last 8. Dodgers, as Ben said, though, cross country, Boston to LA, doesn't get any much further than that. And Miller, who's been real good, real solid for the Dodgers in a year where, if you look at the Dodgers, they don't have a pitcher that qualifies for ERA because they don't have enough innings. So just a ragtag, just get innings at everybody. But anyway, Miller, not as good at home, which obviously we know LA Dodger Stadium is a pitcher's ballpark. So a little quirk there, better stats on the road. It's Arizona or nobody at this price. We'll look to see where that line goes, and we'll look for lineups.
We have the Yankees at the Tigers. Yankees coming off losing 2 of 3 to Tampa Bay, 2-12 their last 14. Tigers lose 2 of 3 to Houston. They're 2-4, scoring 4.67 runs per game currently. Severino versus Olsen. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I actually lean to Severino and the Yankees in this one. Severino coming off a bounce-back quality start, 1 hit and 6.2 shutout innings versus the Nats. Prior to that, you guys know the story. 1-5, 10.86 ERA was absolutely brutal. And then Olsen, they've won his last 3 starts. Last 2, though, he was roughed up as well, 10 runs in 13 innings. This is a Severino, really good numbers against the Tigers last year, 1 run in 12 innings. He's coming off a really good start. I don't expect him to be able to piggyback off what he did last time, but I expect him to be better than the 11 ERA he was. And you got to keep in mind, as bad as this Yankees team is, they're in the best division in baseball. They now get to play an AL Central team. They typically beat up on these AL Central teams. Severino has coming off a good start, would be a lean here to the Yankees. I really don't want to back them in Severino. I'm not touching this game, but if it was forced to hand, that'd be the side I'd take.
Yeah, I don't expect Severino to look like the pit. I'm not going to change my mind about Severino after that one game. He was absolutely horrible. Olsen, not much better. The thing is, teams like San Diego, St. Louis, the Mets, the Yankees fit that same bill. Here's a team that expects to be in the playoffs. Now you're playing at the end of August in a game that doesn't mean anything in Detroit, and that edge is always going to go to the team that was never expected to be there in the first place. I'm right where this line should be. I think Detroit should be a -110 favorite, and that's pretty much the line. So I'll stay off this one unless we see something crazy with lineups. Does Judge get a day off today after that long Tampa Bay series. These are the things you want to watch out for. Like I said, the Yankees not in contention anymore. They're not kidding anybody. Same thing in San Diego. I think even they may know they're finally out of it. So watch for some guys to start getting some rest. We'll be watching. Lives are more important now, guys, than any part of the year.
Then we have White Sox at Baltimore. White Sox, they split 4 games with the A's. They pull off the last 2. Orioles, they take 2 of 3 from the Rockies, 4-2 on the homestand so far. Kopech versus Rodriguez. Rodriguez really turning it around since he's been called back up. 4 of his last 5 starts, quality starts, 2.61 ERA. Last time out, 3 runs in 6 innings versus Toronto. Did get roughed up by the White Sox back in April. And then you have Kopech going, who's tied there up with Snell with 80 walks. Left his last start with leg cramps after 4 shutout innings. Still had his 5 Ks, 4 walks there in those 4 innings, and had a decent start and a win against the Orioles earlier this season. Don't really want to back the White Sox. It's a big number. Numbers should not be this high. Don't want to back Kopech. They're going to make you pay the price to back Baltimore. This is an Orioles team. Now, you lose Bautista. You have some issues going on. Supposed to be running away with the division. This race is getting tighter than they like it to be. Really got to take advantage of these series here against central teams like the White Sox. They have a pretty tough schedule down the stretch. Multiple series left with Boston, multiple with Tampa. Got to take advantage of getting the White Sox here. So that's what's ultimately keeping me off this game, but this price is way too high in this game.
Way too high. They got to take advantage, just like they got to take advantage yesterday against Colorado. But with Bautista out, the Rockies score 1 in the 9th and pull away with a W. They're going to miss Bautista. It's going to have a ripple effect throughout the whole bullpen. Look, Baltimore should win this game, but there is no way in the world right now that they're a 240 favorite at home. Baltimore actually playing better ball on the road than they are at home. Yes, they need this game, and Kopech is tailor-made for them. Gives up a lot of base on balls, but the price is way too high. And Rodriguez has pitched great, as Ben said. Since his return, you guys remember, we were keeping our eye on him since getting sent down. He worked his stuff out. AAA was pitching really good. He's been real good since coming back. Just the number is too high. It'd be White Sox or nobody.
Then we have Astros at Boston. Astros, massive win last night, 17-4 at Detroit. They won the last 2 there in the series. They're currently tied with the Rangers, 1 game back of Seattle, who just flew past them. The Red Sox, meanwhile, coming off losing 2 of 3 against the Dodgers, just 10-8 at home since the All-Star break. And they met last week. They split 4 meetings. Last one, Red Sox embarrassed them 17-1, much like what Houston did at Detroit yesterday. And Sox won 2 of 3 in Boston last year. Javier versus Sales. Sales' third start back was against Houston. 4 runs in 5 innings there. Did have 9 Ks, 1 walk. Maybe that's a bit of a sign he's starting to get it back clicked on, but still not the Sale of old. And then you have Javier going. They've won his last 3 starts, but he has a 5.52 ERA. Gave up 3 runs in 5 innings versus Boston. This is an Astros team. You're getting plus money on the road. They're up there 3rd best in the MLB as far as road teams. Still one of the better teams, obviously. Chris Sale not looking like Chris Sale. Astros very much so in the race. And then you add in the beatdown they took at the back end of that series. Definitely a bit of a bitter taste in their mouth. This would be Astros, road dog, or nothing.
Absolutely. Astros are nobody. Throw in that Devers, who leads Red Sox in homers and RBIs, didn't play yesterday. Had a X-rays on his wrist. They're negative. He's day to day. If he's out, this is a no-brainer. You're going to have an Astro team coming in that scored 26 runs in their last 2 games, looking for a little revenge from getting embarrassed at home 17-1. I like the Astros in this one, especially if Devers is out.
Then we have Guardians at the Twins. Going to be Curry versus Maeda. Cleveland coming off a win against the Jays and extras. They won 2 of 3 in that series, 8-13 on the road since the break. And then you have this Twins team rallied from behind 5-0 yesterday. Then that game goes into the 13th. They ended up pulling it out. They've won 3 of 4, scoring 7 runs per game, 13-5 at home. Curry last time out tagged for 3 runs, saw 5 hits in 2 innings. Prior to that, had the quality start for his Detroit. And Maeda last 2 starts, 6 runs in 9 innings. This is a matchup and a division matchup trend that I back a lot is the under in this matchup. A couple of low-scoring central teams often getting pitchers duels. So far, the under 6-1 in the 7 matchups this year. And you have Cleveland trying to catch them in the division. 6 games back right now. If the Guardians take care of business against the Twins, still 2 series left against them, 4 of them in Cleveland, 7 games overall. they can make a run to catch. And that's the only way they're going to be able to do it is if they get it done against them single-handedly. So in these next 7 games they have, it's going to be tempting not to want to bet Cleveland every day as long as you're getting plus money. Miami gets the pitching edge, but this is a lean to the Guardians, more so looking at the under. I expect these to be hard-fought games.
7 games left, but many leads by 6. So even if the Guardians take 5 of the 7, it still leaves them 3 other games. Look, I just think Cleveland gave up this season at the trade deadline, getting rid of Savali, getting rid of Bell. They were sellers, not buyers. Both teams played over extra innings yesterday. Going to be a tough matchup. The price might be a tinge high for a division matchup, but I would have to get bigger price with Cleveland. They're the team that had travel from Toronto, so out of the country, extra innings to come to Minnesota extra innings, but stayed at home. 2 grueling games. Tough spot. If I'm taking the price, I just want a little higher. Maeda, I got to give him the pitching edge in this one.
Then A's at Seattle. A's dropped last 2 there against the White Sox, 4-3 their last 7. Then you have this Mariners team just keep on getting it done. They swept the Royals. They won 11 of 12, 19-4 their last 23. Just keep on winning now in first place in the West. Sometimes maybe a little bit of a letdown once you finally eclipse that and you get to the first place spot. I just wouldn't expect it to be a letdown against this Oakland team who they dominated all season long. They've won all 7 meetings. Mueller versus Wu. Mueller going to be his first start since back in July. 2 relief outings, 3 runs and 7 1/3. Was roughed up by Seattle for 6 runs earlier this year. And Wu been very solid for a young guy with 3 runs in 10 innings. Last 2 starts, pair of road wins. Another one of those guys, though, with reverse splits, 5.85 ERA so far in 4 starts. Big number on this game. Won't catch me laying that with Seattle, but it's Seattle on the run line or nothing. Hottest team in baseball. Mulling on right through. They get another series here with Oakland just to continue to separate themselves from Houston and Texas. Can't want A's in this series. No way.
Yeah. If you guys were listening last week, I told you it was the finale of their road trip. Mariners were at the White Sox. Told you they had the White Sox coming, and then they had 6 games coming at home against the 2 worst teams in baseball, and they should be in first place by the end of the week. Well, they got there even quicker. They got there at the end of the series with KC. They're on fire right now. They're the best team in baseball right now. They're red hot. Mariners hitting .322 and scoring 7.5 runs a game over this 12-game streak, 11-1 in the 12 games. They're red hot. They own the A's. They've outscored them 37-13, winning all 7 meetings this year. There's just no reason to go against them. Don't matter what the price is on Oakland. It's Mariners or nobody.
Then we have Angels at Phillies. Angels coming off a loss at the Mets. They do get 2 of 3 in the series, but still worse than August, 7-17. Phillies, they sweep the Cards. They've won 5 of 6, playing good ball right now. They won all 3 meetings last year, 26-9. Giolito versus Walker, and if anything, everything's blowing up in Minisian's face, GM of the Angels, but this one might be just the biggest one. They give up top prospects and 6.67 ERA in 5 starts so far since being traded over. On the road this season, 6.14 ERA. He did throw 6 no-hit innings versus the Phillies though this year, but it was a home start. Road splits there, just brutal. And then meanwhile, you have Walker was skipped in the rotation, comes back 2 earned in 5 innings, pretty solid. And he had the quality start versus the Angels last season. Don't know why they're betting the Angels here. This number's coming lower, and if it keeps going lower, we're going to force the hand here on Philly. Giolito's been horrible. He's been horrible on the road. Walker's been decent, gets the pitching edge, and obviously Philly's get the team edge. Just 2 teams trending different directions. No idea what the interest here in the Angels is.
No idea why they're betting the Angels, and no idea how the Angels GM still has a job.
Yeah,
Gave up prospects for Giolito. First of all, they were sellers. They were the only people that thought they should be buyers at the deadline. Can't believe Ohtani's still there. Now they've got him with a messed up arm, with a UCL tear. You just gave away draft picks for Giolito, who I don't think could pitch any worse since he's come over. Philly's on fire. They only scored 3 runs yesterday, but now they're 5-1 on this homestand, scoring 7 runs a game, hitting .329. Expect more of the same against Giolito, who's horrible on the road. Now, Walker hasn't been great, but he's got 13 wins, 14 leads Major League Baseball. It's Phillies to nobody. Just waiting to see. This lane's gone down from minus 145 on the overnight to around 127, 128 right now. Waiting to see if somebody knows something. If one of the Phillies are out, if one of their big bats are going to get a day off, we'll wait for the lineups. Phillies to nobody.
And we have Nationals at Toronto. Nats coming off a loss to Miami. They've won 2 of 3 in each of their 2 series on the trip right now. 4-2 on the trip, 11-4 their last 15. Blue Jays coming off a loss to the Guardians. They've dropped 4 or 5. Gray versus Gosman. Gray coming off a quality start at Yankee Stadium. Prior to that, had an 11 ERA in his 3 prior starts. But as you guys know the story with Gray, you should know by now if you're watching every day, 2.73 road ERA, just a much better pitcher on the road. And then you have Gosman going, who's been solid in August, 3.97 ERA, coming off a quality start, but it was another loss and just not getting the run support right now from the Jays. And then the last 2 starts against the Nats was good numbers, 2.70 ERA back in 21. Big number. You have this Nats team's up there in top 5 as far as second half record right now. They're number 2 on the season as far as profitability. And if you guys been tuning in, if you guys are our members, you know how often we're looking towards the Nats. This could only be the Nats or nothing. Toronto does not deserve to be this big of a favorite.
Yeah. Gray, much better on the road. As we say, 3.85 ERA overall, but 2.73 on the road this year. This is not a one-off. Go back to last year. Last year, a 6.12 ERA at home, 4.11 on the road. Again, full 2 runs better. He does this consistently. He's a better pitcher on the road. I don't know what they're looking at Toronto. The line was ridiculous yesterday. So we took the Guardians plus 2-1. We'll be taking the Nats again at a bigger favorite. Not only has Toronto dropped 9 of their last 13 road games, Chapman and Bichette both left the game yesterday. Both questionable. Talking about a Gold Glove third baseman, and Bichette leads the team in batting. Guzman's been great. But as we say, Gray, fantastic on the road. Romano, Toronto closer, season high 36 pitches yesterday. Remember, he's just about a week or so off the injured list. He will not throw a pitch today. This is Nationals or nobody.
And we have this Rangers team going on over to the Mets. Rangers, what a loss yesterday. 5-0 lead. They blow it, and they lose it in the 13th. And the way they lost it, just brutal. 3 walks in the inning. Hernandez comes in. He gets 2 strikeouts. And the next thing you know, 3 walks. They lose that one in the 13th. And that's just the definition of what's going on right now for Texas. They've dropped 9 of 10 now. 1 game back of Seattle, tied with Houston, 7-16 in the last 23 road games. And then you have this Mets team who's playing decent ball. They snapped a little skid there against the Angels. They win that one yesterday. They are just hitting 181, scoring 1.8 runs per game. Bats have gone dead. They've been getting the pitching. Gray versus McGill. McGill's been brutal in August, 6+ ERA. Much better at home, though, 3.49 in 9 starts. And Gray, who put together a pair of decent starts. After that, though, roughed up at Arizona, 5 Ks, 3 walks, 5 runs in 4 innings. Pitching a bit brutal there, was roughed up by the Mets last year. Epitome of just, Murphy's Law, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. And we're seeing that right now with the Rangers. Everything's falling apart, choking up a little bit. Saw with the Mets last year, and now Mets might have a chance to play a factor, and that happened to someone else.
This is exactly what happened to the Mets last year, but even worse for Texas. Mets didn't choke as bad as Texas is right now. Look, Mets and McGill are mutts. No doubt about it. But Texas right now, this entire season has they've just tumbled. They've dropped 9 of 10. They're 7-16 their last 23 road games. Now under 500 on the road. They're playing terrible baseball. That game yesterday, not only do they blow a 5-0 lead, but they blew out their entire bullpen. That bullpen combined to throw 149 pitches yesterday. I don't know who to have left today. The days of a complete game, those are over. So they're going to come into Citi Field in a tough spot. Mets played that early afternoon game, 12:05 start. They were done hours before Minnesota. Texas was getting done at Minnesota. Then they got to take the flight over. A tired bullpen, dropped 9 of 10, big home dog. Mets was the play. We sent this out first thing in the morning, plus 135. Right now, the best you can take on that game is about 122.
And that's the free bet for this card, guys. One game left here. Pirates at Kansas City. Pirates crushed by the Cubs yesterday. They've lost 4 of 5. You have the Royals, who just got beat up by Seattle. They've lost 7 of 8. 2 teams, nothing to play for, going nowhere. Oviedo versus Greinke. Oviedo allowed 1 run his last time out versus a dead Cardinals team. Prior to that, roughed up for 10 runs in 9 innings. And Greinke, in return from IL, 4 shutout innings versus Oakland. Did have 5 Ks, no walks. He's much better at home, 3.57 ERA and 11 starts. KC's had success in this matchup, 6 of 7 meetings, all 5 in Kansas City. This is slightly in here to the Royals. I don't want to be laying any price with Kansas City. I would need this number to go up more to be interested in some plus money here. And even then, really just don't want to be involved in this shit fest of Pirates and the Royals this late in the season. So slide as it leans to Kansas City. If anyone's betting this game for entertainment, seek help.
Yeah, unless you're a Kansas City or Pittsburgh fan. We'll see who they have in lineups and stuff. Both teams obviously coming off the long weekends. Got to give Oviedo a little bit of the edge. Yes, Greinke pitches better at home, but he's only 1 game removed from coming off the IL. You know they're going to be super careful with this guy at the end of his career. Not interested in this game at all unless something crazy with the lineups or the line happens. It's about a pick'em game. It's about what I make it. I've got enough other bets today. I feel real strong about this card. I'll leave it to you, Ben.
Yeah, guys, multiple bets already out to members, multiple more we're looking at based off line movements and lineups. As always, if you guys want that info, howtobeatthebookie.com or download the How to Beat the Bookie app. Adding some new features there, going to be continuing to do that. A few weeks out from football, going to have some announcements as far as the pick'em pool we're going to have going this week. And as you guys did last week, keep the comments coming up, keep the likes coming up, help us grow this content, and we can help keep giving it to you guys. Really appreciate it. Friday was the most viewed episode yet. Hopefully we can keep going up that way. Like, subscribe, comment below. Let's make some money, John.
Let's make some money.